Inland Sports.
And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show, the head coach of the San Jacinto Tigers, who are going into the CIF Southern Section Division IV semifinals. It is Aric Galliano. And Coach, congratulations on a dramatic win against top seed Charter Oak in the quarterfinals. But man, I don't know if you're getting more gray hairs. I've been stressed out for you guys the last couple of rounds, all these overtime games. And I mean, what do you think it says about your team that you're able to win these close games in OT?
There's no quitting us, and that's one thing that they've done a great job of always believing. The first playoff game they came in, and they're kicking a PAT to win it with 8 seconds left. And we ended up blocking that thing and then going into overtime and winning it. And then this past week, just continuing to fight. There's no quitting the kids, which is awesome.
Yeah, I was just looking back at that Bishop Diego game and, of course, the Charter Oak game that you just had in the quarterfinals. I'm like, man, these guys, they when it matters the most, they find a way to win. I mean, can you coach that, or your players just wired that way? Like, how does that happen?
A lot of the kids that are making plays for us are kids that were with us in 2022 when we made that deep run in 2022. So, they're very hungry of trying to get back and not wanting their season to end. And so they've been pushing themselves hard throughout the offseason and through this season to get ready for this point. And, I was relieved at the end of that one. I've never been a part of something like that. And, it's a testament to them, to the hard work that they put in, and, the outcomes that are happening.
Coach, do you see similarities between the CIF championship team and this team? I don't know if there's something intangible that you can point to, like great leadership or a strong senior class. I know you got some young guys out there making plays too, but I mean, is there anything you can point towards that kind of have the same similarities from that championship season?
We got playmakers, and just in different positions. We had Dylan Gresham and Vincent Holmes. We have Deshaun Davis and Jordan Bernard.
Yeah.
Quarterback is doing a great job. He's understanding the system. He's new to our system. Well, first and foremost, both teams, we got to be able to run the football. And then both teams, we've been playing pretty good defense. In 2022, we did as well. And, currently right now we're playing pretty good defense. And, I think that's the key to winning a championship is playing good defense.
Coach, when you look at the season as a whole, I mean, has it been, I don't know if emotional is the correct word, but I feel like there's just so many ups and downs. I mean, starting with Beaumont and then beating Cajon, and then you get to league play, and then now 2 crazy overtime games to start the playoffs. I mean, again, I feel like there's just been so much already bottled up in this season that you guys have already experienced.
Yeah, I think that, us putting the non-league together is proving it right now of how tough our non-league was. And, facing Beaumont, Cajon, Aquinas, Rancho Verde, Yorba Linda, playing those teams have gotten us ready to this point. We've seen multiple offenses, multiple defenses. So I think we're pretty prepared of what we're going to get from each team, because we've seen a lot of it, from a bunch of different schemes, and that's how we scheduled it, and, trying to get our kids prepared for this point.
Coach, at this point of the playoffs, when you get to the semifinals, especially in Division IV, I mean, there's so many good teams in Division IV. I mean, is the room for error just, if you make a mistake, like, the other team's good enough, they're going to capitalize on it. Like, how I don't say perfect, but how well do you guys have to play, just whatever opponent it is, just to win and advance at this point of the season?
It's huge. We make a mistake in coverage, and, it costs us, them tying the game. A late ball thrown, is an interception, and just, it's us, trying to get the fine details of what we're doing, and focusing in on what we're doing and how we're going to attack different teams, both offensively, defensively, and special teams. The details matter at this point in the game. It's not so much the physicality. It's more the mental aspect right now of getting kids healthy, and making sure they understand the game plan going forward.
All right, Coach, I was looking at the forecast again. Of course, everybody knows that quarterfinal round soaked all the games, and some of those games were actually on real grass, and they were real messy. But I'm looking at the forecast for Orange County for this Friday. At least currently right now, it says 80% chance of rain.
Yep.
So you might have another wet one. Not that it favors you or them or anything, but does it change the way you guys prepare or practice, or the way you guys want to execute on Friday?
I think it also plays. I think it plays a huge part, in having to get the kids understand the wet ball and ball security and doing all those things. And, it affects the pass game tremendously. A lot of teams, I'm really good friends with the guys at La Habra, and, he's thrown the ball, 15, 20 times. And I think he said he threw it, 4 or 5 times this past week against Cathedral, and so it adjusts your game plan. And I think from what I've seen, I'm hoping it's before the game. But either way, we're gonna attack with what we need to attack, and we'll practice those scenarios in practice this week, and try to get as much prepared as we can to face a really good Villa Park team.
Yeah, I was looking at them a little bit. Obviously, very good to be in the D4 semifinals. You do have one common opponent in Yorba Linda. Without giving away all your secrets, obviously, what do you think, besides the weather, what do you think is key to getting a win against Villa Park in the semis?
Our biggest thing, we've struggled coming out of the second half the last 2 weeks. And so that's one of the big things that I'm focusing on this week, of, being more consistent in the second half, coming out with the same fire we had in the beginning of the games, and trying to continue that for all 4 quarters. The first 2 rounds we've gotten out fast. We've kind of been stagnant, the second or the third and fourth quarter, and then picking it back up in overtime. But, trying to keep that fire going, that third and fourth quarter, is what I'm trying to get these kids to get to this week. And, let's play 4 full quarters of San Jacinto football, and let's see where it lies.
Do you feel like you guys have done that this year? Or are you still waiting for that first game where you feel like, man, we got it done tonight for, like you said, all 4 quarters?
I think the Cajon game was, our first one where we saw, we played, really good complementary football, offense, defense, and special teams. And we've done pretty good, in the playoff, playing complementary football, but we've hit a lull the past 2 weeks offensively of, not sustaining drives when we need to, and not putting up any points in the third or fourth quarter, and we've been, holding on by the skin of our teeth, and, getting into overtime because, we haven't been able to put points up. The defense has been playing really great, and, I call the offense, and so I'm a little frustrated with, leaving them out there too much and putting it on their shoulders, where we can own some of it and hopefully not get to those points if we can put some points up in the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, it'd be a lot less stress in your life, right? If you can get some points in the second half.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Coach, congratulations on reaching the semifinals. Obviously, a big game against Villa Park in Division 4. Appreciate it. Congrats on those overtime wins. Like I said, man, it's been crazy. I'm sure it's been emotional for you as well, and another big one coming up in what could be a very wet Friday as well. Thank you so much, Coach.
Awesome. I appreciate everything you do, Pep, and hopefully we get this thing done, and we'll see how it goes. They've done a great job of. I think this is the first year the Division 4, the competition, the competitive equity in Division 4, I think is huge. Most of the game, or majority of all the games, have been really close. I think this is the first year that I've seen, since doing this, that it's been, extremely competitive. So, it's been fun. But I just want to thank you for all your support.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off that too, just real quick. I mean, I don't say usually, but a lot of the times in the playoffs, you don't have close games in the first round. You might have to wait to the quarterfinals or maybe even the semifinals to see some good games. And man, even those first round games have been incredible, especially in Division 4. So, Coach, listen, congratulations on the run so far. Let's keep it going. Nobody loves the Jack more than this guy. So good luck against Villa Park this week.
Awesome, Pep. I appreciate it. Go Tigers.
You got it. Aric Galliano, the head football coach for San Jacinto, here on the Inland Sports Show.
Inland Sports.